Hello everyone, this is Spasmodic, and today I'm going through some tips for Rocket League for beginners. I myself am very much a beginner at this game, and I've always prided myself on simplicity, so these tips are very genuine and may actually be useful to you if you're just picking up the game. They may even be useful if you've been playing for a little while. For the purposes of this video, I will be focusing almost entirely on 3v3 gameplay. I personally like playing threes, not only because I have two friends that I can play with, but because I think it's a great avenue for new players. It's less chaotic than 8 players, it's far less harsh than 1v1s, it's not an insane hockey puck or cube, and it's less stressful than 2s. You don't really have to worry so much about being reliable at all times. It's a good way to goof around and learn the game, and a lot of what you learn here can be applied elsewhere. So here we go. We'll start with a simple setting, the camera shake. Most people turn camera shake off. It makes your game a fair bit smoother. Here's some decent guidelines to remember for the camera settings. The further your camera is away from you, the more vision you will have of the field, but you may sacrifice a little ball control. The closer your camera is to you, you will have more control of the ball, but less vision of the field. However, all that being said, it ultimately falls on personal preference, and I don't think there's a huge advantage to any settings. Play the way you like, be open to the idea of adjustment, but don't feel like you necessarily have to. This is as simple as it gets. You can double jump for more height. Very useful if you're in net or in the business of blocking shots in general. If you want to gain speed, double jump forward. It's a good way to get around without boost. Be careful on Wasteland though. Every other map has a flat pitch, whereas Wasteland is uneven. You have to let go of forward after your double jump, otherwise this will happen. You travel the same speed backwards as you do forwards, so double jumping backwards also results in a speed boost. Driving backwards can be a bit jarring though. A good way to get around this is to jump and turn to land forwards. Keep it in mind, and remember that these commands are mostly used for the kickoff and not much else. Your teammates might miss it, or they just might listen. Saying "I got it" is a good way to let your team know you're attempting the kickoff. Defending is a good way to let them know you're in net, and they can go for the kickoff or for boost. These particular messages can only be seen by your team. Also, be sure to congratulate your teammates or even the other team if they pull off a nice shot. You're playing with a remote-controlled rocket car. The foundation of this game is ridiculousness. Try and act accordingly. That being said, if the enemy team messes anything up, be sure to spam the appropriate response, and begin something that cannot be reversed. A decent rule to follow for kickoffs is that you want to try to get there second. More often than not, you can dictate the direction of the ball if you arrive second. Here are 2 kickoffs that you can do that are very simple. The first is driving directly at the ball like so. If you hit it like this, it will go straight into the opposing net. The second is boosting towards the ball off the start and front flipping into it. This can result in a few things. Either the ball will go straight up and hit the ceiling, it will stop dead, bounce slightly to the right or to the left, or in the best case scenario, you will force it onto the opposing side of the pitch. It's difficult to get the ball past what is essentially a wall with forward momentum. If off the start you are the one closest to the net, staying in the net is always the polite thing to do. You will never reach the ball before your teammates do. Don't even try. I covered this a little in the previous point, but just so it has its own place. If you drive at the ball and hit it, it will go upwards. If you flip into the ball, it will travel along the ground. You also have the option of inputting direction. Jump and then quickly jump to the left or to the right. While we're on the subject of shots, a very useful thing to remember is the idea of not going to where the ball is, but to where it's going to be. If you go straight for it, oftentimes the enemy can get around you, or you'll just miss. But if you accurately predict their shot and get in their way, they can be massively out of position and give you a huge advantage. It's almost always a good idea to try and intercept a shot rather than go straight at the ball. And hey, if you're lucky like I was here, sometimes those stupid bounces will go your way, and you'll score. Also, this is a good thing to remember. The objective is not to hit the ball as hard as you can at all times. Sometimes, even the lightest of touches can throw the enemy team way off, and set you and your team up for easy shots. If you take anything away from this video, let it be this: don't always go for the ball. The last thing you want to do is always be trying to hit the ball at every possible opportunity. I think anyone who has played this game for a few hours can confirm it is the most annoying, useless, unhelpful thing you can do. More often than not, you are screwing up a shot for one of your teammates, or you will run straight into them and they will hate you for it. Maybe go for a boost, go to the net, predict a pass, or try to hit someone. Just don't always be going for the ball. That is a huge error. Oh, and while we're on the topic of trying to hit people, the ball isn't the only thing that you can collide with in Rocket League. You can in fact run into the enemy team and either knock them out of position or demolish them. Anyone who plays this game can attest to this fact. This is incredibly annoying when it happens to you, but it's undeniably effective if you can pull it off. For me, this is arguably one of the most important aspects to the game, if not the most important. Having the ball camera on most of the time is a pretty good idea because you can see exactly where the ball is, where the play is, and where the ball could end up. However, when you are close to the ball, I find that I don't have a lot of finesse or control at certain speeds or angles. This is a good time to turn off the ball camera as you can take sharper turns, and generally you have more control over the ball. If you are going fast enough, eventually this speed boost will happen. You can get it by holding down boost, but this wastes pretty much all of your boost. This is where double jumping forward is a great idea, as after 2 of these flips, you'll get the speed boost. These orbs give you full 100% boost, which make them seem like the best option, or at least the most tempting, but these boost pads on the floor are extremely useful. You can fill up on boost on these things quite quickly, and you almost never have to sacrifice position to do so. They only fill up your boost by 12 points, but that can often be just enough. If you're just picking up the game, you may want to stay away from flying. If you think about everything you can do with it, it's far too complicated to go into, and definitely the wrong place to start. But if you want to put your foot in the door, this is a good way to do it. Jump, tilt the hood of your car upwards, and then boost. You'll go straight up. This can be useful every once in a while for a quick save, but don't make flying a big part of your game right off the bat. Even the best of players can find themselves wildly out of position because of a missed fly. Flying straight up is a great way to open yourself up to the concept. Get comfortable with that, and after a while, look around. I won't instruct you on advanced flying techniques unless you're keen on missing the ball constantly. Being a goalie is annoying and hard. It may be the hardest aspect to the game, as it feels like no matter what you do, you get scored on. Thankfully, there's still some good things to know. If you are inside the net on most maps and the ball is in the corner, you can back up deeper into the net and see the ball. You can see the ball through the wall anyway, but I often find it easier when I can see it. If the ball is high in the air and coming down, positioning yourself underneath it is maybe the worst position you can be left in. More often than not, the opposing team will snatch it from above you while you're left frantically trying to turn around. With this in mind, positioning yourself deeper in the net is often a good idea. You can react to shots a bit easier, and if you make contact with the ball, you obviously have a higher chance of clearing the ball with a good amount of momentum. Usually the ball will find its way into the corner or above your net, and sometimes the best option in this circumstance, if you're in the net, is to do nothing. Oftentimes the ball will sail over the net and the opposing team won't have a shot. If you're interested in being a really good teammate in threes, the best option is to almost always go back to the net. You almost never want all 3 players to be on the opposing side of the pitch at all times. Hanging back at the midfield is a great way to keep the ball in the enemy zone without actually entering it. You don't always have to be in the net to make a save. If you position yourself beside the net, you can often set yourself up for a good reactionary save. Another decent tip for goalkeepers is to position yourself sideways instead of directly at the ball. There's more surface area for the ball to make contact with, making potential saves slightly easier in some scenarios. However, if the ball is headed straight to you, you're going to want to double jump into it, a bit like the kickoff strategy. If you drive straight at it and the enemy flips into it, they can force it past you and into your net. Lastly, do not be afraid to challenge the ball. If you feel you're close enough, go for the ball. You don't always have to wait for a shot. If you miss and they score, don't always regard that as a mistake on your part. The enemy may have just made a really nice play is all. The curved walls can be unpredictable to the fullest extent of the word. Don't always regard a miss as a bad commitment. You may have just gotten wrecked by those stupid, stupid walls. And the most important tip for last. If you want to be a turtle, jump, barrel roll with a direction, land on your roof, and scoot around. If you score a goal like this, it is socially acceptable to scream and moan into the microphone and literally never stop. Oh, and when you're finding a match, you can hop into free play while you're searching. You'll join a game even as you're in free play. You can also search while in free play. Play around with your settings here, test out shots, see how the ball bounces, fly around like a goof, do what you like. In the end, the idea is to have fun. I hope these tips were helpful, and have fun playing Rocket League.